This conference will now be recorded.
In today's session, we are going to discuss about triggers. And we'll see what exactly a trigger, what is the use, how to implement the triggers in Salesforce, and why should we go for the triggers especially, and what kind of scenarios will enforce you to go to the triggers, and what kind of operations that we can do with the help of triggers, and what are the various types of triggers available in Salesforce, and how we implement the business logics inside the triggers, and what are the various trigger events that we have, and the trigger context variables that we have, and the various best practices that we use to follow upon writing the triggers, and what exactly the trigger handler factories, everything we see as part of these triggers. So triggers is the most important feature as part of development, where 50% of the application business logic we are writing inside the triggers. So it's the most important feature, especially as part of development. Now, so first of all, we have to understand what exactly a trigger. So simply in one sentence, I can say triggers are used to execute the business logic automatically. Okay, automatically based on some events. If you want to execute that business logic, then we can go with the help of triggers. Triggers are used to execute the business logic based on some certain events. I don't want to execute that code manually. I would like to make it execute. Like for example, so now here in this case, for example, assume that I have a class. A public class common helper. Inside this class, I'm having a public static void insert records. There is a inside this method, I have written some business. I have written some business logic inside this method. Now, so generally, as of now, what we did, we have created the class, we have prepared the methods inside the class, we have written the required business logic, and then we have executed the business logic with a manual. How we went to that execute anonymous window, and then there we have invoked this method manually. How? By using class name dot method. So that means what? We are invoking this functionality or the business logic manually by your own by using the execute anonymous window. So, but now what I want to do is I don't want to execute this business logic manually by my own. I want to execute it automatically. Like when, for example, here I'm having an object. I'm having an object. Like for example, I'm having an object that is called as account object. Okay, account object. Now, whenever you are inserting a new record inside this account object, I want to execute this business logic. I want to execute this business logic. In this case, what we can do, we can able to create it. Okay, we can create it. We can create a trigger. For this object, we can create a trigger. We can create a trigger on this particular account object. On this account object, we can able to create a trigger, and then whenever we are going to be inserting the record inside this object, whenever I am going to be inserting a new record inside this object, I would like to find this business logic. So whatever the business logic that I have written inside this particular class, I want to invoke this business logic with the help of the trigger itself. So what I want to do, whenever I'm going to be inserting a new record inside my object, I would like to find this business logic automatically. I don't want to execute it manually. As of now, what we did, we are writing the business logic inside the method, and that method we are invoking manually by using the execute anonymous method. There, we are going to be accessing that method by using class name method. If it is a static, if it is a normal method, like as an instance method, we are creating the object of the class. We are accessing the method by using object name method. So we are invoking that methods manually, but I don't want to execute it manually. I want to make it automated. So whenever if you want to execute some business logic automatically based on some events, then we can go with the help of triggers. So triggers are used to execute the business logics automatically based on some events. Based on some events, that means based on some occasions, I would like to execute some business logic automatically. For that reason, we are using the help of triggers. Now, so in this case, at what scenarios we can able to go with these triggers? Okay, what scenarios we can able to go with these triggers? So now, in this case, we can able to explain that. Sir, at what kind of situations we can able to go with the triggers? Now, so let me explain some scenarios. So which will be enforcing you to go to the triggers especially. Now, for example, come to a scenario. We have some multiple scenarios are available. Now let me explain those scenarios. For example, I have an object. I have an object like a sub. In this account object, okay. For example, in this account object, I'm having some 500 fields. 500 fields are available. Now, from this, out of this 500 fields, I would like to make 300 fields are mandatory, nothing but required. Okay, 300 fields I would like to make it required. So now, in this case, what happened? Then what we can do generally? From out of this 500 fields, I want to make the 300 fields required, nothing but mandatory. How can we make it over here? Now, generally, whenever we are creating the field, we are going to selecting the required checkbox. But upon selecting the required checkbox, what will happen? It is going to be representing that field with a red color bar symbol. Okay, whatever the mandatory fields are available inside my object, okay, which has been made it mandatory by selecting the required checkbox, those fields will be getting visible with the red color bar symbol. But I don't want to make that field with required checkbox. I want to make that field required by using validation tools. By using validation tools. With the help of validation tools, I would like to make that field required. That means mandatory. Then how can we make that field mandatory by using this validation tools? So in this case here, what we can do, we need to prepare a separate validation rule for each and every field. So I want to make 300 fields are mandatory. Okay, 300 fields, I would like to make it mandatory. So we need to create 300 validation rules. I need to create 300 validation. By creating 300 validation rules, we can able to make 300 fields mandatory. Why? Because if you are making this field required by using validation rule, it won't display the red color bar symbol. Okay, it won't display the red color bar symbol. So the people will thought of, the end user will thought of this field is not a mandatory. So he will try to use my application. When you click on save button, my validation will fire. It will ask you to enter the details of that field. Like that, slowly we can able to capture the remaining field details also from the customer side. Suppose if you are making this fields mandatory by using required checkbox, if 300 fields are looking with that red color bar symbol, the people will get shocked. Because so many fields are there in the user interface which are mandatory. So we have to enter the data in all the 300 fields. So at that time, the people won't show interest to utilize my application, because to enter the data in the 300 fields, it will take more time. So in this case, the people won't show interest to utilize my application. For that reason here, as a business strategy, what I want to do is, I don't want to display the fields with the red color bar symbol. I want to make the fields looking like as a normal, like as optional. It's look like as optional. But behind that field, I would like to add one validation rule, which will be firing upon saving the record. So upon saving the record, validation will fire. It will ask you to prompt to the user, please enter the value in this. Like that, slowly it will be capturing each and every field value from customer side. This is one of the business strategy that we used to follow. Now, so now here in this case, we are going to be having some 300 fields are there. All these 300 fields, I would like to make it mandatory by using validation rules. So 300 validation rules we need to create. But when coming to that Salesforce has given the limitation. Salesforce has given a kernel limit is available that an object can have maximum of 100 active validation rules. An object can have maximum of 100 active validation rules, not more than that. But I want 300 validation rules. Then what we can do? In this case, instead of creating these many number of validation rules, that is also not possible, because an object can have maximum of 100 active validation rules. That is the kernel limit given by Salesforce. More than that, we can't create. Salesforce won't allow. But I want 300. Then what we can do? In this case, instead of creating these many number of validation rules, simply we can able to go with a trigger. By using a single trigger, we can able to achieve all these functionalities. So in this case, what happened? Instead of creating more number of triggers, we can able to, instead of creating more number of validation rules, we can create a single trigger. Through this single trigger, we can able to make n number of fields also mandatory. The facilities there. So that in this case, we are using the help of triggers. This is one scenario. Okay, this is one scenario in order to utilize the triggers. Whenever if you want to do any validations, okay, more number of validations are required, then we can able to go with the help of triggers. With the help of triggers, we can able to validate. We can able to validate the data. Okay, we can able to validate the data. This is one thing. Next, second. Let me explain one more small point here. For example, I'm creating an account. Click on new button. I have given the data over here. Test account. I'm saving this. We need to enter the values. I'm entering the value. Fax number also. Rating value. Type. Industry. And then account number. Account site. Annual revenue. Ownership. Active status. Customer priority high. Now, website I'm indicating Reliance Star. These are the data that I have entered over here. Now I'm saving this record. Click on save. Now my record has been created successfully. Now my record has been created successfully. So my account record name is some test account. Okay, test account. Now I'm creating one more account record. Click on new. I'm entering the same name, test account. Type value, industry, and the phone number, ownership, annual revenue, account source, and the active status, customer query. Click on save. Now my account record has been created. I'm creating one more account. Click on new button. Here also the same name I'm indicating. Type equals to prospect, industry some constructions, and then account number some value. Phone number I'm indicating some different value over here. Fax number, annual revenue, active status. Save. My record is new. That means what? So now keep on I'm creating the multiple records with the same name. With the same name, I'm creating the multiple records. That means what? Duplicate records has been accepted inside my object. But now I don't want to accept this duplicate records. After entering the data inside this particular fields, when you click on save button, immediately I want to validate. Immediately I want to validate with this name some test account, already an account record is exist or not. Already the account record is exist or not. If the account record is exist, it has to show some message to me over here, duplicate record found with this name, so we can't accept this record. Suppose if the record is not available, then it should accept my record. That means if there is no records are available as of now with this name, then it should accept my record. That means what? I want a deduplication process. Deduplication process means what? Duplication elimination process I want in place. But when you click on the save button is blindly saving the record. Whatever the name that you have entered, whatever the details you have entered, it won't bother about that. Simply blindly it is saving the record inside my object. So keep on it is accepting the duplicate records inside my object. But I don't want to accept this kind of duplicate records. I want unique records. I want to maintain some uniqueness. Duplicate records should not be acceptable. Duplicate records should not be acceptable here. Then what we can do? In this case, we can eliminate this kind of duplication process with the help of triggers. Through triggers, we can eliminate this kind of duplicate records inside your object. So as soon as once you click on that save button, immediately we can able to find the trigger. Trigger will verify with this name already recordings exist. If the recordings exist, then it will show the message to you. So now with this name already one account record is there, so we can't accept this new record with the same. So please choose a different name. Like that, we can able to use the triggers to eliminate this kind of duplicate records. So in this case, in order to implement that deduplication process also, we can able to go with the triggers. So through triggers, we can eliminate the duplicate records inside your objects. This is the second scenario, okay, which enforces you to go to the triggers feature. Next, third one. Let me explain a few more scenarios. Now, third scenario. For example, assume that I have an object. I have an object like some lead. So now click on the new button to create a new lead record. And then we can enter the details to create a new lead record. After entering the details inside my lead object, inside these fields, as soon as once you click on this save button, I would like to save the record. Once the lead record has been getting saved successfully, then I want to send one email notification to that lead person's email ID. Whatever the email ID is available, not to this lead person's email ID, I want to send one email notification along with an attachment also. okay, along with one attachment also. I want to add an attachment along with this key. Now tell me how can we implement this one? General, your approach.
Either by using workflow rules or process builder.
So by using workflow rule and the process builder, we can send the email notification, that is fine. But I want to add an attachment. How can we do that? The dynamic attachment here. The dynamic attachment I want to add. Through workflow rules, of course, we can send the email notifications. Through process builder, of course, we can send the email notifications. But along with upon sending this email notification, I want to add one attachment also. For the first lead, a different attachment. For the second lead record, a different attachment. For the third lead record, a different attachment. Like that, dynamically, I would like to add an attachment also along with this particular record. Then what we can do? In this case also, we can able to use the help of triggers. Instead of using the workflow rules, instead of using the process builder, we can go with the help of triggers. Through triggers, we can able to achieve all the operations. We can send the email notifications also. We can add the attachments also, multiple attachments, everything we can able to do with the help of these triggers. That possibility is also available. Now, in this case, when coming to the workflow rules, okay, through workflow rules, we can able to automate some certain business processes. Okay, through workflow rules, we can able to automate some certain business processes. But in the workflow rules, we have some limitations. During the workflow rules, we have identified some limitations over there. What are those limitations? When coming to the workflow rule doesn't allow you to insert the record. There is no such option in workflow rule to insert a record. There is no such options in workflow rule to delete a record. There is no such options in the workflow rule in order to fetch a record from the table. And there is no such option in the workflow rule to update a record. Of course, we have field update action. How many fields we can update? Maximum of 40 fields, not more than that. By using that workflow rules, we can able to add maximum of 40 field update actions, not more than that, so that we can update only 40 fields. Suppose I have some hundreds of fields inside the record, which I need to update, but workflow won't support. In this case, whatever the options are available inside the workflow, if those are not sufficient, then we can go with the triggers. Now, because workflow will be allowing to perform only 4 operations, we can send the email notification, the 2 with an email template. In that one, we are specifying the subject and the content. But there is no attachments at all. There is no PCC copy also. Only the 2 address, CC addresses, that's it. Not BCC addresses also, no attachments also. And the 2, every time it is using the same email template over here, same email template. Upon creating the record also, upon updating the record also, same email template it will use. But I want to make it dynamic. Upon creating the record, a different email template I want to use. Upon updating the record, a different email template I want to use. But that kind of facility is not there inside the workflow rule. Upon creating the workflow rule, I'm selecting the criteria, created, and every time it is edited. Upon creating the record also, this workflow will file, it will use the same template. Upon updating the record also, the same workflow will file, it will use the same template. But during the insertion, I want to use one different template. During the updation, I want to use a different template. But that kind of facility is not available inside your workflow rule. So in this case, whatever the operations are available inside the workflow rule, okay, apart from that, if you want to do any other operations, then we can go with the triggers. Now, whenever if you want to insert the record, then we can go with triggers. Through trigger, we can perform all the DML operations because workflow won't support. Workflow won't support the insert, no updations, no deletions, okay, nothing. But trigger will support all this one. Trigger will support to perform all the DML operations. We can insert the records, update the records, delete the records, and we can able to undelete the records also. We can offset the records also, merge the records also. Everything we can do through triggers. That possibility is available. So with the help of triggers, we can perform all the DML operations whatever you want. Along with that, triggers will support that the SOQL queries also. We can fetch the data from the objects also through triggers. The possibility is available. But workflow won't support all these operations. Now, next one. Whenever we are going to be performing the cross-object field updates through workflow rules. Okay, whenever we are performing cross-object field updates, at that time there is a limitation again. From where to where we can update the field from child to parent only, which are associated with the master detail association. Upon using the cross-object field updates, by using that workflow field update, we can update a field in the parent object also, which is associated with the master detail association. That means child to parent we can able to update, which are associated with master detail association. Suppose if you want to update from parent to child, then workflow won't support. If you want to update from child to parent, which are associated with the lookup association, then at that time workflow won't support. In this case, we can go with triggers. Trigger will support all the possibilities. Okay, trigger will support all the possibilities. So that here, whenever we are going to performing some complex operations, then workflows won't support. At that time, we are using the help of triggers. Okay, now the next one. Let me explain one more scenario. The next scenario is sharing mechanism. Sharing concept. So let's go to that sharing concept. Whenever we are going to sharing the record, during that admin concepts, we have discussed about the security features. There, upon sharing the record to the users, we have identified that we are having 3 types of sharing mechanisms are available in Salesforce. First one is manual sharing. Second one, automated sharing. Third one, Apex sharing. So manual sharing can be done with the help of sharing button. By using that sharing button available on the record detail page, we can share the record to 1 or more number of users. We can select the users to whom you want to share the record, so we can able to share the record to a single user also or to the multiple users also by creating a public. Now, suppose if I'm having some more number of records are available to be get shared, at that time we are going to be automating this process with the help of sharing rules. Through sharing rules, we are going to be automating this process, because if the number of records are available to be get shared, then sharing each and every record one by one will take more time. So in this case, to share those records automatically, we are going to be using the help of sharing rules. Through sharing rules, that means we are creating some automated rules to share the record to 1 or more number of users. To share the records to 1 or more number of users, we are using the help of sharing rules. But upon using this sharing rules also, there is a problem. Okay, there is a problem. Now, let me explain that problem. When you go to the sharing rule, upon sharing the records, okay, when you go to the sharing rule, upon sharing the records, we are having some hard-coded conditions over. Whenever we are going to be creating the sharing rules, for example, if you're creating the sharing rule for your account object, so we have indicated, we have created one sharing rule during that time. Like whenever, if the account records rating value is equals to hard, and the industry is equals to banking, and then the ownership is equals to public, and the active status is equals to yes. If these 4 conditions are satisfied, I'm sharing the record to that Hyderabad sales group. with read-only access. With read-only access, I'm sharing the record with you. So in this case, upon creating the sharing rule, we have to specify. For example, I'm selecting the criteria-based sharing rule. Now specify the sharing rule details and specify the conditions. Which conditions you would like to verify before sharing the record. Now here we have to specify to whom you want to share. Okay, to whom you want to share these records over. We have to indicate if this condition is satisfied, share the record with this particular people. Now in this case, we are selecting the users over here. We are hard coding this one. Always it is sharing the record to the Hyderabad sales group. But I want to make it dynamic. I want to make it dynamic. Like for example, okay, what I want to do is, suppose for example, so upon creating this account record, okay, upon creating this account record, so now if the account records industry equals to some banking, then share the record to some Ramesh Kumar. If the account records industry equals to finance, share the record to some Shiv Kumar. If the account record industry equals to manufacturing, share the record to some Sunil Kumar. That means what? I'm going to be sharing the record to the different people. Dynamically, I'm deciding. Dynamically, I'm deciding that. I don't want to hard code this value over here. I want to make it dynamic. To whom I want to share the record, I will decide dynamically at that time. I will decide. So now here we are hard coding this one. Always, whenever the record is getting created, so it is sharing the record to the Hyderabad sales group only. But I don't want to decide this one Hyderabad sales group. Always, I will change dynamically at that time. Sometimes I will be sharing the record to Hyderabad sales group. Sometimes I would like to share to the Bangalore sales group. Sometimes I want to share to the Mumbai sales group. Dynamically, I will decide. But I don't want to hard code this one. In this case, okay, we are going to be using triggers. This is one thing. Second one. So here, upon sharing the records, we are going to be deciding that level of access, say the read only or read write. Now my requirement is I want to decide this level of access also dynamically at runtime. Dynamically at runtime, I want to decide this level of access also. Upon sharing the record to a person, if the annual revenue is more than some 1 crore, I want to grant read write access. If the annual revenue is less than 1 crore, I want to grant read-only access. That means what? Based on some conditions, I would like to decide level of access also. Upon sharing the record, okay, I would like to decide the level of access dynamically at runtime. But this kind of facility is not there inside your sharing rule. Upon creating the sharing rule, we have to specify what conditions needs to be verified, to whom you want to share the record, what level of access you want to grant. So this is fixed value here. These fixed values. We are hard coding these values, but I don't want to hard code this. I want to make it dynamic. To whom I want to share the record, I will decide dynamically at runtime. And then what level of access you would like to grant, I will decide dynamically at runtime. But this kind of facility is not available in the sharing rules. For that reason, we are going to be using the help of triggers. Through triggers, we can able to achieve these functionalities also. So at that time here, we are using the concept of Apex triggers. With the help of triggers, we can able to share that records to the people by using the Apex sharing. With the help of this Apex sharing mechanism, we can share the record to the required people dynamically at runtime with the required level of access also. The facility is available. We'll see this concept here during the Apex sharing mechanism concept. We'll see the practical concept also separately, how to share the records to the people dynamically at runtime through programming. We'll see. For that reason, for that one, we are using a separate object called as share objects. Okay, we are using the help of share objects. We'll see how to implement that one also. Now, in this case, whenever we are going to be sharing the records to the people, then if you want to decide level of access dynamically at runtime, if you want to decide the people to whom you want to share dynamically at runtime, then we can go with that Apex sharing mechanism, which can be do with the help of Apex triggers. Through triggers also, we can able to implement that sharing mechanisms. This is the way we can able to go with the triggers also. Next one, let me explain one more concept over here. Now, for example, assume that we are having the concept of queues. Okay? You know the concept of queues. During the admin, we have discussed that here. We have the concept of queues. So what exactly a queue basically? Queue is nothing but a location. Okay, queue is nothing but a location. Okay, where it will be holding the records for some time, which are awaiting for the processing. Okay, which are awaiting for the processing. So queue is nothing but a location where the records are awaiting for the processing. So now whenever a customer has raised a case record by making a call to my customer care center, based on the toll-free number, so now here immediately one of the customer care executive will be receiving the call and he is going to be creating a case on behalf of the customer. Like for example, today I'm facing some problem with the mobile network because I'm unable to access the internet today, even though I'm having data balance. Okay, I'm also having the most full signal also. Network is also available, but still I'm unable to connect to the internet. So immediately what we can do, we are making a call to the customer care and we are going to be explaining about our problem. So the customer care executive will receive your call and they are going to be collecting the details about the problem and they are going to be assigning that case to the respective service team. So now here in this case, what happened? Okay, in this case, what happened? So now whenever we are going to be using this kind of implementations, so we are going to be assigning that record to the respective service team with the help of assignment rules. That means what? We are going to be creating the case record. This case record we are assigning to the respective service team over. How? By using the two processes. One is manual, second one is automated. So manual is nothing but we have to assign that record to the user manually. Second one, we can create some assignment rules. Through assignment rules, we can able to assign the record to a respective queue dynamically at runtime. But whenever we are creating the assignment rules, Salesforce is providing how many types of assignment rules? Only 2 types. What are those 2 types of assignment rules? We are having lead assignment rules, case assignment rules. That means to assign the lead record to the queue, we are using lead assignment rules. To assign the case record to the queue, we are using case assignment rules. Then, what about the remaining objects? I'm having my position record. I want to assign that position record to the respective HR team. There is a HR queue is available. In Hyderabad, we are having a separate queue, Hyderabad HR queue, Bangalore HR queue, Mumbai HR queue. Like that, multiple queues are available. So it depends upon the position location. Suppose today we got a new position for Hyderabad location. I want to assign it to that Hyderabad HR. So then how can we assign? Do we have any assignment rule for position object? No. Then how can we implement? How to implement the custom assignment rules? Only for lead object and case object, Salesforce has given the assignment rules feature. But what about the remaining objects? At that time, we are going to be using the help of triggers. Through triggers, we can able to create that assignment rules, which is used to assign that record to the respective queue for the other objects. Except the lead and the case, for the remaining objects, if you want this kind of assignment rules, then we are going to use that triggers. These are the various scenarios are there, okay, which enforce you to go to the triggers. Like during the validations also, during the duplication processes also, during the workflows also, process builders also, and then sharing mechanisms also, and then assignment rules also. At that time, in all these cases, we can use triggers because everywhere we are having some limitations. To go beyond those limitations, okay, to cross those barriers, we are using the help of triggers. Because by using the configuration, we can do all those things. Validations we can do through configuration, just by using some mouse pointers. Well, workflows also through configuration. Process builder also through configuration. And then we are having the sharing rules also through configuration. And then assignment rules also through configuration. But there are some limitations inside those configuration, so that here those are not supporting. For that reason, we need to write some business logic. That business logic I want to fire automatically based on some events. For that reason, we are using the help of triggers. Then what we can do, what are the features are not possible through configuration. Okay, only automated processes like as validations, workflows, and then we are going to be using the process builders, sharing rules, assignment rules, and then roll-up summaries like that. These kind of functionalities. At that time, we can write that code additionally by using the Apex programming, and that code we can able to execute automatically based on some events with the help of this. Okay, with the help of triggers, we can able to implement. Now, sometimes let me give you one small use case here. Sometimes they will raise a question. Assume that, for example, I'm having the two objects. Assume that I'm having two objects. This is the object one. This is the object. Two objects are there. Now, so now this object name is, for example, this object name is position object, and this is the candidate object. We are having two objects are available. Position object and candidate object. Two objects are available. Between these two objects, we are having some association. There is a relation is available between these two objects. Now, so between these two objects, we are having that association that is called as master detail. We have master detail association between these two objects. Master detail association. So these are the two objects are available right now. So position object and then candidate object. Two objects are available. Both are having some relation. Okay, with the master detail association. Now, so now tell me here in this case, I have a position record. For this position, we are having some candidates are available. Okay, some candidates are there. Now, how do we know how many number of candidates are available for each and every position? How can we do? How to achieve this? Anyone?
By roll-up summary.
By roll-up summary. Right. So we can create a roll-up summary field, okay, and then on the position object, so that we can identify how many number of childs are available for each and every object. Now, for example, if the association is lookup, then how can we implement this? Now the association is lookup. I want roll-up summary field functionality. What we can do? I want to know for each and every position how many number of candidates has been applied. I want to know that count.
Triggers.
Now, in this case here, we need to go with the triggers because roll-up summary fields are expecting master detail association, but it is already having lookup. I don't want to change it to master detail. If I'm changing it to master detail, then my job will be very simple. I can create one roll-up summary field, it will do that operation, but I don't want to change it to master detail because if I'm changing that, my business functionality will be getting changed. It will be impacted. So that's what here I don't want to change it to master detail. I want to continue with lookup only, but I want master detail functionality. In this case here, but this is not possible through this configuration. So at that time we can use with the help of that. So through triggers also we can able to implement. Okay, through triggers also we can able to implement custom roll-up summary functionalities. Whatever the roll-up summary functionalities are required, we can implement through triggers itself. Now, so in this case here, as of now, we have used so many automated processes like as validations, formulas, roll-up summary, workflows, process builders, sharing rules, assignment rules. These are firing automatically. How these are firing? Because those all are internally ready-made triggers given by Salesforce. Those all are ready-made triggers given by Salesforce, nothing else. But those are not fulfilling my requirement now. Those are not fulfilling my requirement now, so that I'm creating my own triggers. Yeah, that's it. Simple concept. What are the validations? What are the workflows? Roll-up summaries, formulas. It may be process builders. It may be sharing mechanisms. It may be assignment rules. These are all are nothing but ready-made triggers given by Salesforce to you. Those are all are ready-made triggers given by Salesforce. But those functionalities are not suited to my business requirement right now. I need some complex business operations. So at that time, instead of using them, I would like to create my own triggers over here by writing my own custom business logic. So what I want to do, I want to write my own business logic. That business logic I want to execute automatically by creating my own triggers. So when coming to the trigger is nothing but a custom Apex code. Because configuration features are not supporting my requirement. Those are not fulfilling my requirement. So that what we can do, we can go with development. That means I'm writing my own code. So I'm writing my own code. I'm writing my own business logic. That business logic I want to execute automatically. I don't want to execute it manually. I want to execute it automatically. For that reason, we are using the help of triggers. So triggers are nothing but custom Apex code which will be executing automatically based on some events. Okay, based on some events. So when coming to the trigger is nothing but a custom Apex code which will be executing automatically based on some events. Now, so now concept is very, very important. Definitely you will be having the multiple questions on trigger. Don't skip even a single point also in trigger. Each and every point in trigger is a compulsorily, it will be important. It's a common question in every interview. Because 50% of the business logic in the real-time implementations we are placing within the trigger only. We are making it automated. So that triggers is very, very important. Definitely they will raise the question difference between workflow and trigger. It's a common question. Then you should be able to explain what can be possible through workflow rules, what are not possible. Everything I have explained to you here. And then that can be implemented through triggers. Sometimes they will raise a requirement here. What is the difference between workflow rule, process builder, and a trigger? You should be able to explain the differences between these three. Sometimes they will give you a small requirement to you. Okay, they will give you a small requirement to you and they will ask you, so please suggest me which feature you would like to use, either workflow, process builder, or trigger. You should be able to explain. Then they will raise the question why you are going for this feature. We have to justify. So that here difference between workflow, process builder, and trigger is a common question in every interview. Don't skip those points. So now here I have given all the points. Sometimes they will raise the question, why should we go for triggers? Because Salesforce has given so many out-of-the-box features, so many configuration features like as validations, formulas, roll-up summary, workflows, process builder, sharing rules, assignment rules, all these things are configurable, then why should we go for triggers? There I have explained every drawback in each and every feature. In validation rules, some drawback. In roll-up summary, some drawback. Workflow, some drawbacks. Process builder, some drawback. Sharing rules, some drawbacks. Assignment rules, some drawbacks. So we are using triggers. You should be able to explain all these things. You should be able to analyze which feature should be suitable for your requirement. Either workflow, process builder, trigger. It's a common thing. Now, so now here in this case, when coming to the trigger, trigger is nothing but a custom Apex code. That means whatever the configuration features are given by the Salesforce, those are not fulfilling my requirement because those are having some limitations. So to avoid those problems, to overcome those problems, and then to go beyond those limitations, I would like to write some piece of code through programming. Programming is my own. I am writing that statement. I can define whatever the functionalities that I want. I can build whatever the logic I want. So that I am preparing my own business logic through Apex programming, and that business logic I'm executing automatically. I'm not executing that business logic manually by my own. I'm executing that business logic automatically, based on some events with the help of triggers. Whenever if you want to execute some piece of code, okay, automatically, then we have to go with triggers. Triggers is the best feature which will be making the business logic to be executed automatically. Okay? So now let me go to the notepad. Triggers are the custom Apex code which will execute the business logic automatically based on certain events. Based on certain events, we can execute that business logic also. Now, so now when coming to the triggers, triggers are nothing but the custom Apex code. These are the custom business logics which we are implementing based on our application requirement, okay, which are used to execute the business logic automatically based on some certain events. Now, in this case, by using this trigger, what we can do with the help of these triggers, we can able to implement complex business logics. Okay, we can implement complex business logics also. We can implement with the help of triggers. We can implement complex validations also. We can implement the deduplication processes also. That means to eliminate the duplication for records, whatever the processes are required, we can implement over here. We can implement the complex transactional flows also with the help of these triggers. So by using these triggers, we can implement complex business logics, complex validations, and the complex transactional flows, and then complex deduplication process also we can able to implement through triggers. Now, by using triggers, we can implement the complex business logics, complex validations, deduplication processes, and the complex transactional flows. And the complex transactional flows we can implement with the help of triggers. Now, so now here in this case, by using these triggers, what else we can do? With the help of these triggers, we can able to perform all the DML operations. Like when you go to that workflow rules are allowing us to perform only some certain actions. Like as just we can able to send the email notifications. We can update the fields. We can assign a task. We can send out one message, but we can't insert the records. We can't update the records. We can't delete the records. We can't merge the records, but trigger will do all those things. So trigger will support to perform all the DML operations. Trigger will support to perform all the DML operations also. So what are the DML operations that you want to perform on your object records? We can perform the DML operations on all the object records also in one shot with the help of this triggers itself. Now, in this case, you can raise a question. So, do we have any possibility to get the record from the database table? Yes. Trigger will support to perform that SOQL queries also. That means we can fetch the data from the objects, and on that data we can perform your own operations. We can update those records also. We can delete those records also. We can restore those records also. We can merge the records also. Or else, if you want to create some new record, then you can do that new records creation as well. So all the operations we can do with the help of triggers. By using triggers, we can perform all the DML operations like insert, update, delete, undelete, assert, and merge operations on all object records. All object records at a time. And we can retrieve the records from the objects by using SOQL queries. We can retrieve the records from the objects by using SOQL queries also. So that means what? We can fetch the records also, and we can perform the operations on those records also. The possibility is available by using the triggers. Now, so now here in this case, when coming to the triggers, when these triggers will be getting executed. When these triggers will be getting executed. For example, now let me explain. For example, if it is a validation tool, when the validation tool will get executed, generally, validation tools are always executing before insert of the record and the before update of the record. Before insert and the before update of the record, validation tool getting fired. If it is a formula, then when it will execute after inserting the record, formula will get fired, and then after updating the record, formula will get fired. And then roll-up summary, when it will get executed, roll-up summary is also executing here after inserting, after updating, after deleting, after undoing. In all these operations, now my roll-up summary functionality will be getting fired.
But validation rule also after Firoz, but validation rule also after updation also it will trigger, na?
No. Validation rules are always before update, before insert, not after. Once the record is already inserted, nothing to update, nothing to validate. Before inserting the record only will be validated. Next, the workflow rules are always executing after insert, after update. And then we have process builder. Process builders will get executed when process builders are also always executing after inserting the record and then after updating. Now, and then we are having sharing rules. When the sharing rules will get fired, sharing rules are getting fired always after insertion and then after updation. When you go to the assignment rules, when these assignment rules will get fired, these are also executing after insert and then after update. That's it. So now that means what here? Each and every feature is going to be executing on certain events. Like as now validations are always executing before, formulas are always executing after, roll-up summary is always executing after, workflows are always executing after, process builders are executing after, sharing rules are executing after, assignment rules are executing after. That means what? They are going to be executing, few features are executing after, few features are executing before. But trigger is the only feature, which is having the capability to fire on both, before, after both. The capability is there for trigger. So trigger is having the capability to be get fired on both before, after also. Generally, when you go to the validations are always executing before, and the remaining all are executing after. But trigger can able to fire on both before as well as after also. So in this case, what happened? What are the things that we're implementing as of now through configuration? The same thing we can implement through triggers also. That means these are all our internally ready-made triggers given by Salesforce. That's it. But these are not fulfilling my requirement. That's what I'm creating my own trigger, and then I'm deciding when it has to fire, either before or after. Now, in this case, trigger is having the capability to be getting fired on both before and after. So that capability is available for the triggers. Now, let me do the node point. Triggers can be filed on both before and insert operations. Sorry, before and after operations on the specified object. So triggers are having the capability to be get fired on both the before and after of that operation, either before operation or the after operation. Also, it can be able to fire. That capability is available as part of these triggers. Now, so whenever we are going to be creating the triggers, each and every trigger should be associated with an object. Okay, each trigger should be associated with an object. Each trigger should be associated with an object. So whenever you are creating the trigger, always we have to indicate this trigger should be attaching on what object. This trigger should be associated with which object. We have to indicate that object name. So each and every trigger should be associated with an object, and on an object we can create multiple triggers as well. And an object can have one or more triggers. An object can have one or more number of triggers also. Now, in this case, how this trigger will be getting fired? What is the trigger execution life cycle? Now let me explain to you. Let me go with a general concept here, a general real use case, real world use case, which everybody is aware of that. So because trigger execution is exactly similar to that case. Now, let me explain that a general use case so that we can understand how the trigger will fire internally. So what exactly the trigger execution life cycle or the trigger execution process? Now let me explain. For example, assume that this weekend I have an invitation for a marriage function. So this weekend on this Sunday, one of my friend marriage is there. So I would like to attend that marriage function. So on that marriage occasion, I would like to present a gift. For that one, I would like to buy a gift. So that I'm going to the nearby one of the shopping mall to buy a gift. I'm going to a gift showroom. So nearby my place, I'm having a shopping mall. So nearby my place, I'm having a shopping mall. There is a shopping mall is available here nearby my place, like at some Hyderabad Central. There is a central shopping mall is available here. There is a central shopping mall. Hyderabad Central Shopping Mall. In this Hyderabad Central Shopping Mall, we are having so many shops are available. There are so many shops are available, like as some wardrobe showrooms are also available inside this. We are having some cosmetic showrooms are also available, and we are having some electronical items are also available, and we are having some gift showrooms are also available. Like that, so many shops are available inside this particular shopping mall. In this shopping mall, we are having so many shops are available here. The people are going to be selling out the different items. So we have wardrobe showrooms are also available where we can able to buy some clothes like as the t-shirts, the jeans, and all these things. And along with that, we are having some electronical showrooms are also available in that shopping mall. And then we are having some gift showrooms are also available. So now this central shopping mall has been belongs to a person. That means it maybe belongs to, it's a property of a person or a builder or an organization. This properties belongs to either a person or a builder or an organization. It may be belongs to anything. It may belongs to a government organization also. Anything. So now it's a property here. Central shopping mall is a property of a person or a builder or an organization. It belongs to anybody. We don't need to be aware of. So now every day, so many people are visiting the central shopping mall to buy the various items. So in order to enter into the shopping mall, these people has established 2 gates. There are some 2 gates are available so that the people can able to enter into this. So there is an entry gate, there is an exit gate. We have 2 gates are available for this shopping mall. One is an entry gate is available over here. Along with that, we are having an exit gate. Now, so this is the entry gate. There is an entry gate is available. Like the similar way here, I am having that exit. So this is the exit gate. So we have the 2 gates are available. There is an entry gate, there is an exit gate. Everybody has to be entered into the shopping mall through this entry gate only. Everyone can able to enter into the shopping mall through this entry gate, and then if the people wants to go outside, they have to utilize that exit gate. Through this exit gate only they can able to go outside. So we are having this 2 gates are available, entry gate and the exit gates are available. Now so many people are going to be entering into the shopping mall. So now as a property owner, as a building owner, or as a shopping mall owner, it is my responsibility that I need to protect my property from the damages. Every day so many people are entering into the shopping mall. Might be some unauthorized people may be there who are keep on carrying some, who are carrying some unwanted items like some pistols, some bombs, some knives, which may be making some damage for their properties. So I need to protect my property from this kind of unauthorized people. For that one, they are going to be arranging or appointing some security personnel. To protect these properties from the damages, they are going to be appointing some security personnel. They're having some security personnel are available at the entry gate. They're having some security personnel are available. So now at the entry gate, we are having 2 security personnel are available. And the exit gate, we are having 2 security personnel are available. At the exit gate also, I'm having 2 security personnel are available. So now these are the people who are going to be keep on protecting my property from the damage. So whenever the people are going to be entering into the shopping mall, immediately these security people will be getting alerted. Because these security people will be getting alerted, and immediately they won't allow these people to enter into the shopping mall. So now in this case, every day, so many people are going to be passing through this area. That means they are going to be entering into the shopping mall. So many people are going to be passing through this area. The people wants to enter into the shopping mall. So many people are going to be entering into the shop. Now, in this case, whenever the people are going to be entering into the shopping mall, immediately the security person will be getting alerted. The security person will be active, and then this person won't allow this new person to enter into the shopping mall. Security people don't allow this person into the shopping mall directly. First of all, they are going to moving this person to a separate place. They're having a security counter is available over here. They're having a security counter. This is the security counter is available over here. Now immediately what these people will do, they are going to moving this person to the security counter over here. They're moving this person to the security counter. In this security counter, they will cross-check that person whether do you have any unwanted items available with you, like some pistols, bombs, knives, some bags, or any tiffin boxes. Do we have these kind of items along with you or not? If you have these kind of items, they won't allow you to enter into the shopping mall. Simply they will throw you out. If you don't have these kind of items, simply they will allow you to enter into the shopping mall. That means what? Whenever a new person is trying to be entering into the shopping mall, immediately the security person will be getting alerted. They are going to be cross-checking you whether do you have that unwanted items along with you or not. If you have any unwanted items, then they won't allow, or else they are going to be allowing you to enter into the shopping mall. The process will be happening, okay, in the real world. Same thing will be happening when coming to your trigger life cycle also. Okay, same thing will be happening when coming to the trigger life cycle. Now, let me explain over. So now here in this case, so what are the shopping mall that we have? This shopping mall is nothing but my object. Okay, this shopping mall is nothing but my object. So this is my object. What are the shopping mall that we have? That shopping mall is nothing but my object. Now, in this case, now the people who are keep on watching my shopping mall, that means here the security people, okay, the security people who are keep on watching my shopping mall, who are protecting my properties always, these are nothing but my triggers. These are nothing but my triggers. Now these are nothing but my triggers. Now the people who are entering into my shopping mall, okay, the people who are entering into my shopping mall, these are nothing but the records. These are nothing but the records. And they are going to verify the people inside the security counter here. Now this security counter is nothing but my triggers of business logic. This is nothing but my business logic. Because here they are using some items, like as some they are going to be verified too by using some metal detectors also, or by using some scanners are also available, or they are using some manual check also. So that is nothing but my business logic. That means what? In this case, whenever I'm going to be having my object, so many people are trying to be creating the records inside my object. Different users will be trying to be creating the records inside my object. So now here in this case, whenever the people are trying to be creating the record inside my object, I don't want to allow directly. I would like to appoint some security personals like some triggers. Now, whenever a new record is trying to be inserting into my object, immediately my trigger will fire. My trigger is going to moving that record into a separate place. In this place, it is going to be validating the record. Now this place is called as a magic table. Okay, now this place is called as a magic table. I think the people who might be aware of Oracle database or SQL Server database, these people might be aware of, okay, like the concept of magic tables. Anybody is aware of that? In SQL Server we have magic tables. Magic tables are nothing but the temporary tables which will be creating by the trigger itself, which will be creating by the triggers dynamically at runtime to hold the records temporarily for some time till the validations has to be get done. Because whenever you are entering into the shopping mall, they will move you to a security counter so that you have to stay over there. They will cross-check you. Once the cross-checking has been done, then only they will allow you to enter into the shopping mall, or else they will throw you out. So that here, like the similar way, whenever a person is creating a record, now I need to cross-check that. So now till cross-checking that record, I need to place that record in some place. For that one, trigger is creating a table dynamically at runtime, so which is a temporary table. Why it is creating the table? To hold the records for some time till the validation has been done, till the verification has been done. So that we need to hold that record in some place temporarily. For that one, we need some table. So the table will be creating by the trigger dynamically at runtime. So now, once the table is created, it will place the record inside the table. Once the record has been placed inside the table, then it will do the necessary verification process. It will do the validation. Once the validation is correct, if the data is correct, it will allow the record into that object here. Or else the record will be getting aborted. Nothing but transaction will be getting rolled back, and whatever the magic table is available, magic table will be getting released from that database. This is the temporary table. Magic table is nothing but a temporary table, so which is will be creating by the trigger to place the records temporarily for some time, okay, till the validations has to be done. For that reason, it is going to be using that magic tables internally here. So now here in this case, when you go to SQL Server, you will be having two magic tables. One is inserted, second one is deleted. Two magic tables will be available as part of your SQL Server databases. Now, here for those magic tables, we are giving the different name. Those are called as trigger context variables in Salesforce. Now, so here we are using the various trigger context variables. We'll see what trigger context variables are available as part of your Apex programming also. This is the execution lifecycle of your trigger. So each and every trigger should be associated with an object. So this is the security person. This security person is working for that organization called as some Hyderabad Central Shopping Mall. So now here is always keep on watching the people who are entering into the shopping mall. So by sitting at the entry gate, like the similar way here also, triggers are like as a security people which will be keep on watching my object, which will be keep on sitting in front of my object. Whenever a person is inserting the record, then nobody can escape from a trigger. Compulsorily they have to pass through the trigger only, because at the entry gate my trigger is available over here. So before inserting the record, my trigger will be validating the record first. And then once the validation has been done, then only my trigger will decide whether record can be inserted, whether record can be cancelled. So that here my trigger will decide that. In that trigger we are writing the actual business logic. What needs to be done? What validations has to be done? When record should be acceptable? When record should be cancelled? We have to decide inside the business logic, inside the trigger. So that here, when coming to the trigger, triggers are also like as the security personals which will be keep on watching your object. It will be sitting in front of your object, so now which will be keep on firing automatically whenever the new record is coming into the object. Like as we can decide when you want to fire the trigger over here. So that trigger should be always associated with an object. And a single object we can have multiple triggers also. Like for a single shopping mall, we can have multiple security people may be available. Like the similar way here, we can have multiple triggers for a single object also. That facility is available. So in this case, how can we create the trigger? We can now, let me give you the syntax over here. What is the syntax we have to follow in order to create the trigger? While creating the trigger, we have to follow this syntax. We have to follow the syntax like trigger name on object name. That means on what object you are creating the trigger. And here we can specify the trigger events. That means on what events my trigger will be getting fired. Here we can write the business logic. Here we can write the business logic inside the trigger. Now whenever we are preparing the trigger, every trigger should be associated with an object. So that on what object we are creating the trigger, we have to specify the object name and give the trigger name over here. Trigger name. You can give any name for your trigger over here. But as a best practice, please give the proper meaningful name for your trigger. On. That means I'm creating a trigger with this name, which will be sitting on top of my object over here. Which will be sitting on top of my object. This is the object name, and this trigger will be firing on this particular event. Okay, the trigger will be firing on this particular event. We can specify the multiple events also. Like as before insert, before update, we'll see what events are available for the triggers. Now, so these are the events on which my trigger will be getting fired. We can indicate that. So what will be the trigger and what object the trigger should be associated. When the trigger has to be get fired, we can able to indicate. Triggers are purely firing based on events, not based on time. So whenever if anybody asks the question, okay, what is the time trigger, then explain about the time dependent action workflow rules. Don't explain about the triggers, because triggers are not having the capability to fire based on time. Triggers are always executing based on events, not based on time. There is no such concept in triggers. Now, so in this case, for example, I want to create a trigger on my account object. For that one, we can specify trigger account set trigger. And I'm giving the object name as account. Here we can specify the trigger events. We can specify the trigger events also. And then here we can write the business line. For example, I want to create the trigger on a case object. Trigger, case trigger. On case object, we can specify the trigger events, and then we can write the business logic. I want to create the trigger on my position object, so we can specify trigger position trigger. on position object, position underscore C, and then you can specify the trigger events. And then write the business logic. Like that, we can prepare the triggers also on your objects. Multiple triggers also we can able to prepare on a single object. That possibility is available. So whenever we are going to be preparing the triggers, okay, we have to follow the syntax. We have to specify the keyword trigger, give the trigger name whatever you want on object name, and then we can specify the trigger event and what events trigger has to be defined. Then in this case, what are the various events are available on which the trigger will be getting fired? Now we'll see the trigger events. So now when coming to the trigger event, what the trigger event indicates basically. Event is nothing but what? An occasion. Okay, event is nothing but an occasion or a situation when it has to be get performed. When it has to be get performed. Now, so in this case, when coming to the event, now the event indicates when trigger has to be get fired. When this trigger should be get fired, that will be indicated by these trigger events. So trigger events are used to indicate when the trigger has to be get fired, either before insertion or after insertion or before updation or after updation or when you want me to find those triggers over there. For that one, we are using the trigger event. Trigger event is going to be indicating when the trigger has to be get fired. Now, by using trigger events, we can indicate when the trigger should get fired. Okay? When the trigger should get fired, we can able to indicate with the help of this trigger events. Now, in this case, how many events we can specify? Multiple events also we can specify. Now, a trigger can be get fired on multiple events. A trigger can be get fired on multiple events. So now before insertion, before updation also, like that multiple events you can specify. Like for example, whenever you are going to the shopping mall, before entering into the shopping mall also, during the integrate also they will verify. Whenever you are coming out from the shopping mall, then also they will verify. In both the places, both the cases they are verifying you. Like the similar way, so we can able to verify my trigger. We can verify the records by using the triggers. So the triggers can be fired on multiple events also. Now, in this case, what are the various trigger events are available? Now, Apex provides the below trigger events. We are having totally 7 events are available when coming to the triggers. First one is trigger dot is insert. Sorry. So we are having the trigger events. We are having the before insert event. Second one, before update. Sorry, before update. Third one, before delete. Fourth one, after insert. Fifth one, after update. Sixth one, after delete. Seventh one, after undelete. These are the 7 events are available when coming to that trigger. So now my trigger can able to fire on multiple events. So when coming to this events, we are having before insert, before update, before delete, after insert, after update, after delete, and then after undelete. These are the various 7 events are available on which my trigger will be getting fired. Then what exactly each and every event indicates, and then during what situations we can go with each and every event, we'll see in tomorrow's session. In tomorrow's session, we'll see, so now what exactly the before insert event, at what kind of operations we can go with before insert, at what kind of operations we can go with before update, each and every event we'll see in detail, and then we'll see one more new concept that is called as trigger context variables as part of these triggers. We'll see trigger context variables also, that is also most important, and after that we are having few more features, like we are having trigger context variables. And then we have types of triggers. Types of triggers. And then we have the concept of trigger bulkification. And then we are having ways to create the triggers. And then we'll see the concept of trigger handler factory. And then trigger best practices. We'll see custom settings. And then we'll see the recursive triggers. And then trigger order of execution. Order of execution. These are the various features that are available as part of these triggers. Each and every point is very, very important in the entry point of view in the implementation. Don't miss this trigger concept. Don't skip any point before going to the interview. Okay, from the triggers topic, it will be very, very important. Every point is important. We'll see each and every concept one by one in detail.